gentlemen, hello and welcome back to Factorio. My name, of course, is Open Potato, and this is the first episode of Factorio that I'm recording after my announcement that this series is moving to 2 times a week. So imagine my excitement. We've now got double the time to muck around in Factorio per week, so that's something I'm very, very excited about, actually. And yeah, hopefully you guys are going to be excited about it too. So as you can see, our rare earth supply issues are pretty poor at the moment. So today's task is to find a way to automate the production of these bad boys, right? So we need to get the electric mining drills, we need circuit boards, iron gears, and iron plates, and a frame. And then we are going to try and up them to electric mining drills Mark II, which is crude rotors, basic item exit, and a frame. So quite a complex bunch of stuff to do, which is rather disheartening, but rather exciting at the same time. Why are we suddenly not having an awful lot of copper come out? Are we having copper supply issues? I would not be completely surprised if we had copper supply issues. We do have copper supply issues. Why do we have copper supply issues? It's because the circuits to make these things is not producing enough stuff. Okay, so we need to get more copper down. Is that basically what we need? I think that's what we need. We need more copper down. Is there actually copper around? Let me check. We need to resolve this copper problem first. There's copper up here. There's a copper patch up here, but we've already spoiled that. We've already ruined that. Okay, so there's actually two interesting copper patches that I'm interested in drawing from. There's this one down here, and there's this one over there. You know what? This might be the very opportunity we need. This might be the excuse we need to get our train track out and have a dandy old time. Right, let's do this. Let's absolutely do this. Alright. I don't want to do this. I do not want waterproof rails. Please no. Please no waterproof rails. I want some straight rails back, please. Please just give me straight rails. Alright. And we're getting straight rails. That's what we like to see. Alright. Rather than waterproof rails. Okay, how do we make normal straight rails? Okay, we need steel. And steel is a commodity that we have very little of. And by very little of, I mean absolutely nothing. Alright, so these copper production problems, that's got to be the first thing to be solved. Alright? Without a doubt. Copper needs to be resolved as soon as possible. Is there a way that we can automate this process? I feel that rails are going to become a pretty standard procedure. Stone, iron stick, and a steel plate. And well, we've got an iron stick right here. Okay, I could probably adjust this workflow a little bit to make it a little bit more suitable. Okay, let's try this out then. Okay, that goes there. That goes there. We're going to have to underground belt this up a little bit, which is a little bit unfortunate, actually, because I would rather not be doing that. Although, I'm not too concerned by it. Alright, let's get this in here, and this in there, that there. Oh, iron sticks. We can't pick up iron sticks. That's not a problem. So we're actually just going to put that there. And we are going to find the stone. The stone goes underground here. Okay, that's actually not a huge problem. All we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get rid of some of the stuff in our inventory, actually, I think. That's going to be the first protocol. Steel chests, that can go. Rare earth, that can go. Stone, that can go. Alright, keep the steel chests. Don't need that. Alright. Let's get this down. Let's move this along by just a smidgen. Won't actually make that much of a difference. That can go there. We're going to take a splitter to this stone. Let's make one right now. Nice and quick. That goes there. That goes there. Get some underground belt of both the normal variety and the advanced variety. That goes there. That goes there. The other type of normal belt goes here and here. Beautiful. And then we drag some stone up, and stone can run this way for just a little bit. Alright, not too long. Not too long. That's already past the point that it needs to be. But alas, I miscounted. I misinterpreted. All right, so we need steel, iron. Okay, so that's gonna be stone and iron and iron sticks. Stone and iron sticks. That's what I needed. Now is there anything we can do with this? I don't really want to disrupt this process that's going on over here. Should we just? I feel that we should probably just. It seems silly to. It seems silly to use a fabricator when the steel is so close by. That seems a little bit daft. But you know, perhaps that's the right thing to do. Okay, let's take this up here a little bit. Okay, let's bring this across this way. I know we're building over those crystals and whatnot. I'm really not too concerned. Is that the right distance? I have a funny feeling that it might not be the right distance. It's not the right distance. I was indeed correct. And alas, I wish I wasn't. Alright, that goes there. Pick up this nonsense. You need a better pickaxe to mine this. Well, thank you for reminding me of my inadequacies. I appreciate that game. Alright, let's get this going up here. Let's get this going along. Either way, steel is going to go onto this side of the belt, as in the top side of the belt, or the right side of the belt if you're looking at it from that direction. I suppose we could just split it off here and then curve it round. I suppose that's something that we actually could do. I feel that of all the options that we've been that we've presented, this is the most logical one. I know it makes everything look a little bit uglier and whatnot, but I think it looks fine, to be honest. I think it looks honestly fine. Alright, that can come across here. That goes onto that side of the belt if we had literally one more piece of track. That goes there. Replace that track. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Happy days. And that means that we're going to see a higher rate of compression or whatever onto the belt. You are going to be making straight rails of the normal variety, not the adjusted waterproof ones. And now we just need to give you the tools to do your job, and we should be fine. I'm going to make the fast inserters purely because I'm really lazy and I can't be bothered going, you know, halfway down the map just to get other stuff. Oh man, I've mucked this up so much, haven't I? All right, change of plan. Big change of plan. All right, we're gonna do this one by one. All right, that's gonna go there, right? The ratio that you need is a 1 to 1 to 1. So we're gonna put. What was the construction time? 0.5. Okay, so the amount of assembly machines we're going to be using here is going to be pretty irrelevant. It's not actually going to matter. That's going to go there. That's going to go there. And we will put a second machine here. And I think honestly 2 machines will do us. We will never need more than 2 machines. We're never going to be laying track at a faster rate than now. I mean, you know, that's just not possible. It just won't happen. And then we're going to put a passive provider chest in the middle. It's part of the robotic network, so I'll be able to get rails delivered to me, which is going to be basically the entire point of this entire operation. Rails delivered to me is going to be awesome. Okay, as you can see, we're making them at quite a pace. The only thing that I am worried about is the fact that this takes a long time to make anything. So I'm going to replace it with a faster one. And now, why are we still using the very old type of machinery here? We're still using basic inserters. Alright, that should speed things up a little bit. Alright, a long-handed inserter. See, can I make a fast long-handed inserter? A long-handed fast inserter. I can actually make one of those. Huh, alright, I'll make it. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. How fantastic is that? That's pretty darn good if you ask me. Whatever the case, we're now collecting quite a large amount of rails. We'll make that many out, I'd say. That's an appropriate amount. But yeah, I feel this is great. We're really upping the ante with this one. Alright, what do you require? Just iron sticks, basically. And as soon as we've capped out on the amount of rails here, then it's not going to be a problem. Supply of these iron rods or whatever they're called. What are they called? Iron sticks. Yeah, that's not going to be an issue. That's really not going to be an issue very, very shortly. Anyway, let's try and resolve this copper problem, because this copper problem has been one that has probably been plaguing us for way too long, and I just haven't been paid. I just haven't paid a great deal of attention to it, to be honest, which is a large shame. Also, it really gives us an excuse to use this rail network, considering that it took a long time to actually get set up. We did a stream on it for a long time. And look at it. It's so big that it doesn't even fit on the screen anymore. How crazy is that? All right. Anyway, we've got some pretty complex signaling. I say pretty complex. Pretty complex for me. Probably pretty easy for anybody else to understand. Okay. And now we begin the lovely train ride to the copper patch and whatnot. We have literally no iron mines. We need to build some electric mining drills, please. We've got some belts. We don't have any splitters. Oh no, we're gonna need some splitters. Let's go and get some belt and splitters before we go off on this epic adventure. Otherwise, I feel that we might regret it. Oh, thank you. You're giving me gears, and now you're giving me iron. That's very nice of you. Indeed it is. What do you mean for splitters? We need basic circuit boards. Oh, I hate getting these basic circuit boards. Absolutely ridiculously annoying. Thankfully, they're just up here a little bit, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem to come across. All right, where can we nab them from? I think here is probably the best place to nab them. In fact, you know what? We're buffering it. Why are we bothering to buffer this to such an extent? I suppose because we know that we need a lot of these things, at least in the early stages of the game anyway. I'm hoping that we're going to start to switch over to these electronic circuits, which are much better. Electronic circuit boards, yeah, they're much better. They're much more complex to build, so they better be much better. If they weren't much better, I would be submitting a complaint to the mod maker, because they are very complex to build. At least complex for me, perhaps not complex for you. Alright, let's get some splitters on the go. Let's get some belt on the go. I didn't actually go and get belt, but I'm just going to right click a bunch of times and that's going to do it for me. Alright, let's oh, immediately we run out of fuel. Well, hopefully we'll have some fuel on us. We've got some 4 solid fuel. That's great, that works for me. Alright, so now we're going to employ the traditional method of dragging rail in front of the train as it goes forward. Of course, this is absolutely a fantastic way to do rail laying. Thoroughly enjoyed, actually. Alright, so we've got a fantastic copper area up there. We've got another smaller copper area up here. Okay, that's fine. Bear in mind, this is only one way, right? We've still got a second entire route to add on to this. Alright, that's going to have to do for now. We're going to have to do a turning sort of circle, I think, unfortunately. Now, I know that using turning circles is not the most efficient way to do it. I'm just going to do it, like, because why not, right? Why the heck not? That can go there. I think that goes there like that anyway. In fact, you know what? I'm not even going to use a turning circle. I'm just going to be completely horribly inefficient with the way that this works. And have no shame in it. Absolutely no shame. Alright. There. Oh, man. I keep on rotating it a little bit too far. And it's just like, oh, I can't rotate it backwards now. That's the most annoying thing in the world. That's not what we want. No, yeah, there we go. Beautiful. Does that work? Pretty sure that won't work. Hmm. Will that actually work? Will that actually mean that we're remotely close to the track? That'll mean that we go onto the same track, which is not something I'm actually interested in. I can't link those two up, unfortunately. So that's pesky. I'll give it that. It's pesky, but it's not a setback. All right, how are we gonna deal with this? The obvious answer would be to put the track on the other side. I mean, that's something that we could do. But I don't know. Turning circles, will they work? They will work, but perhaps they're not. They're just not the most efficient way of doing things. And again, you know, like curved rail in Factorio is slightly annoying in the fact that it doesn't link up in the most precise way, which is oftentimes potentially infuriating. You know, it's potentially annoying. All right, let's do this again. Let's try and not mess this up this time. All right, so I think it should be like this. I think it should be like that. I think I'm not mistaken in that. All right. And this will be one of the rare cases where it links up. That's fine. This won't link up. Great. And that can go there. And that will mean that we will not be parallel there. Okay, we will be parallel. Fantastic. That's beautiful. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know. But you know what? I'm up for giving it a shot. Without a doubt. And if it doesn't work, then we'll change it. And if it does work, then happy days. If you've got anything to say about it, then, you know, comment as per usual. Because that's the way we roll around here. All right, let's get in. Let's drive around this track. Hopefully everything runs pretty smoothly. Indeed it does. Okay. And let's begin the journey home. Except let's not begin the journey home because there's a bloody tree in the way. Oh my goodness. You know, it's just problem after problem after problem, isn't it? Do we have enough track? We do indeed have enough track. Fantastic. Alright. I stopped clicking there for some reason. I felt the need to give my finger a rest, and indeed I should not have felt that way. Alright. Are we going to have enough belt to get home? We're not going to have enough belt. We're not going to have enough track. We're not going to have enough anything to get home. Alright, are these two networks connected? I don't know if they're connected. I think they might be still connected, but I am wrong. They are not connected. They're not connected in the slightest, and this is problematic for us because I need some more belt. So let's get our robot-y friends to bring us some more straight rail. Let's bring us, like, I don't know, 500 straight rail? 300? 300 is a pretty safe number. But who even cares? I mean, we're basically up to the rail box already by the time that we're getting there. All right, see? Look, we're basically there. What's the point in even waking up, guys? You're a complete failure. You're a complete failure. You defeated the entire point of having logistics robots. I'm sorry to say it, but you're an absolute failure. An absolute failure and a mess. Alas, it's got to be said. You can't avoid the truth sometimes, can you? Oh well. Oh well. Progressing at a lovely little pace here, I think. We still need to connect this track to this track over here. Now that's going to be the difficult part. I hope it won't be, but I'm prepared for it to be difficult. Right, so that links up there. Don't really want to do that. We want to be a bit more clever about it. What about... In fact, you know what? We don't even need this track anymore. We don't even need this track anymore. So why am I complaining about that? Because we don't need it. So if we move it back by 1. If we move it back by 1, right? That should mean that we can just link it up almost perfectly, actually. That looks pretty accurate to me. In fact, yeah, that looks very accurate to me. In fact, if that was like that, then why did we even have to stop this track connecting in the first place? I mean, that looks like it could have totally maintained and still worked. You know, it's always good to have options. Alright, we need to put that distance down by 1. No, you're not gonna play ball. I guess not. I guess we can't do that then. Okay, great. Move that along to like here, I guess. I really am lost right now. I'm very, very lost. Okay, that there. That there. Does that won't fit in, will it? That fits in perfectly. What a guess. Alright. Put this away so I can actually see what I'm doing. Pick that piece of track up. Replace that in there with straight track. So just in case we ever need to, that's great. That works perfectly. Alright, so if we go along this way in our trundly train, choo-choo, and we go pretty much exclusively straight, we should get back to the copper fields, which is nice because that's where we need to be. Great. Okay, so this is our main line. This is our main line, and now we've got to branch off this. And the way that we're going to do that is we are probably going to have a lay-by right now. Okay, we're going to have a lay-by here. We're going to say, okay, Mr. Train, you're going to come off the lay-by right here. It's going to come down this way, and then it's going to go straight for a little bit, like this. Okay, it's going to come down here. We're going to load it up with all of the copper from this area. We'll need to make it so it's a specific length. I can't remember what that exact length is, but hey ho. That's fine. That's probably more than long enough. And then we're going to bring it round back up this way. This is probably one of the least efficient ways of doing it, but you know what? It's all right. It's only me. It's only me, and that doesn't really matter. All right, there we go. And now straight track, please. You know what? We could even load it up over here rather than loading it up over there. That makes perfect sense to me. Like whatever's easier, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. All right, maybe like there, I guess. No, I was one out. I was one out. That's so annoying. I hate it when that happens. But you know what? Sometimes that's just life. It just happens sometimes. All right, there we go. So the train's going to come around. It's going to say, okay, here, we need to go to the copper station. And so it's going to go to the copper station. And the copper station is, of course, down here. It's going to come along here, trundle, and it's obviously going to be, the track is going to be completed before the train actually arrives. That's the plan anyway. All right. Stop there. Patch the track. Move around, and we come up here. Great. Get out. Build a station if we can. We can indeed. Plonk the station down around here. What's this going to be called? This can be called Copper Mine 1, because I presume that we are going to have more than one copper mine. And let's remove that station from it. We'll put main on here. We'll add that to there. Copper mine 1. 30 seconds should be enough to fill it up. Okay, let's move this back a touch. Okay, let's get out. And let's say copper mine 1, go to station. Run the train. Great. Stop the train. And that's fine. This is at copper mine 1, which means that all we need to do is load up all of these carriages and everything will be completely hunky-dory, because we're going to be using copper from our newly found copper source. And when this is done with its copper, all it's going to do is, we haven't done the signals by the way yet, it's going to get on the train and it's going to head back. And, you know, with due course, we can get rid of that horrific loop that's up at the end. So the copper train's going to come this way. It's going to come along. It's going to go around. And it's going to unload. Now, it's gonna get it's gonna get put into a system, right? And this system that we've got here is very nonchalant, so it's not gonna really discriminate on what materials come out of it. That's sort of the design intention. It doesn't matter what materials come out of it. It's going to go into this massive system here, and probably around here we're going to have a massive sorting system. So whatever comes in will get sorted. If it's rare earth, then it'll get stuck on a bus here. If it's copper, it'll probably get bussed up to here and added to this belt to eventually go through the factory and through there, or it might get stuck onto another belt that I create out of thin air and path it up. If it's iron, then it'll get bussed on up to. If it's stone, it'll get bussed on up to that belt there, probably that exact position. If it's iron, it'll get bussed up through here and probably added on around somewhere here or whatnot. But irregardless, sorting system is going to be over here or over here, probably over here actually, the more I think about it. But the more I think about it properly, over here is probably the best place for it. And yeah, all this stuff is just going to come through and just get massively sorted. So we're gonna probably after the copper extraction, we're gonna seriously start considering what's the best way of going about doing some sorting systems for lots of stuff. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my name of course has been Over Potato. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode of Factorio. Hopefully you'll tune in next time for some more. Until then, bye.